Well, I've taken a look at the Kraken X31, the Kraken X41, and now after some technical difficulties, it's finally time to take a look at the Kraken X61 280mm all-in-one liquid cooler. Hello everybody and welcome to Tech Uploaded. I'm Chris as always, and as I said, it's finally time to do the review for the Kraken X61. So what happened? I kind of feel like the 280mm closed loop coolers from NZXT kind of had like a dark cloud following me for some reason. I had an X60 which had a bad mounting bracket. Actually it was a screw that when it went in it stripped and caused the back of the bracket to just give way because it was plastic and not real sturdy. Thankfully, they've addressed that with the new mounting system that they're using, which I much prefer over what they were using before. And then I got my X61 in for review, and I was so pumped, because I'm like, finally, I'll be able to get this NZXT 280mm radiator in my system, because that's what I wanted to use a while back when I was still in my H440 case. So, you can imagine my disappointment when I went to go do the initial testing after installing it and found that the pump was rattling quite a bit. As a matter of fact, I took a short video of it, so here's what it sounded like. So, as you can tell, that didn't sound the healthiest in the world. I did find, after I did the temperature test anyway, and then I compared them to what I got off of this one, I will say it performed just fine, but sounds like that can be indicative of a pump getting ready to fail, if not immediately, sooner than it should. And since this bad boy has a 6-year warranty, didn't really want to get off on the wrong foot, not to mention it was annoying. So, let's take a look at the box. It points out that the 280mm radiator gives you 36% more surface area compared to 240mm coolers. And then of course it does cover that it has a high performance variable speed pump and copper cold plate, integrated hue and digital fan control with cam compatibility, the new FX140 V2 PWM fans, which I'll go over those in a little more detail shortly, a large tower support with a 16-inch tubing, so that's always nice, and a completely sealed system with a 6-year warranty. And looking at the other side, it does list all of the compatible CPUs, which is pretty much everything out there on the market, going all the way down to 1366 on the Intel side, up to 2011-3, and then you have AM2, AM2+, AM3, AM3+, and FM1 on the AMD side. And then there's some nice little graphs and graphics in case you couldn't read the back. And then the other side of the box just gives you the full detailed rundown on all of the technical details of this pump in case that kind of thing interests you. All right, so before I go into the unboxing of this and show you what you get in the box and all that good stuff, let's talk fans, because I'm going to do testing with two different things going on here. So number one, this is the, what are they calling this? The FX140 V2 PWM fan. You get two of these. And I have to say, it's got nice heft to it. It feels very solid. It's got a good design. It has nice little rubber feet on here to cut down on any vibration. Overall, just a nice fan to come included. I have to say, I'm surprised. A lot of times with these kind of coolers, you open it up and the fan feels kind of cheap. Not so much with this one. So I thought, you know what, let's have a head-to-head. Let's put this fan up against the Noctua NF-A14, which has the little shiny sticker that says it's ideal for 140mm radiators, so it should also be ideal for 280mm radiators using that logic. So I'm going to pit those two together, and I'm also going to throw another thing in the mix since I'm only going to get one go at the thermal paste on this thing. I'm going to go ahead on the second test and use the Arctic MX4 compound. I really like this stuff. It's performed well for me in the past. I'm going to see if there's any difference between what comes pre-applied to the block versus going with something, aftermarket yourself. Well, the unboxing is pretty straightforward, just like the 31 and the 41. You just open up the flap and you slide out the little cardboard container, and then you're greeted with the fans, the installation guide, the mounting bracket and screws and all that good stuff for both AMD and Intel, and then finally, underneath the white cardboard protective sleeve is the actual 280mm radiator, which of course is attached to the cooling block. Now, getting this part out can be tricky because I found that it's very easy to accidentally disconnect the little piece that protects the thermal paste on the block, so watch for that when you're taking it out. You can see the design's very simple, and it's not too thick, so if you don't have a huge amount of clearance at the top of your case, this is a good option versus going with something like a Corsair H105, which is a 240mm radiator, but quite a bit taller. As you can see, the block does have the sticker on it that kind of got under my skin on the X31, the X41, but just slowly peel it off and it will come off. You also get the nice braided cables on this one that you got on the X41 as well, and you'll notice on this one there actually is a power connector that you'll have to put into an eSATA power connection in your case. And then, of course, you do get those two FX140V2 PWM fans that I mentioned earlier. All right, so now let's take a look at some of the numbers. I have it installed, running in my system right back here, and I'm happy to say that the replacement that NZXT sent is whisper quiet, just like the 31 and 41, and I'm very happy to have it finally installed in my system. All right, for cooling numbers showing the Noctua NHD15 versus the Kraken X61 versus the Kraken X61, and everything has been adjusted for an ambient room temperature of 78 degrees Fahrenheit, and as you can see, temperatures were pretty much what you would expect across the board, with the Noctua being the worst performer of the group and the X61 being the best. But there weren't huge gaps between any of these, really. I mean, all of these temperatures are great. So, you know, depending on how much room you have in your case and what your preferred cooling method is, you really can't go wrong with any three of these coolers. I will say, the Noctua, while it's super quiet, it's also super huge. So if you don't have a ton of room in your case, you may want to think about sticking with an X41 or X61 if you have, like I said, the room for a 280mm radiator at the top or front or wherever you're going to stick it. Now, as you can see, the X41 actually does surprisingly well versus the X61, considering it's half the size, but it is a little bit louder because it's using only one fan instead of two, so the fan typically is running at a higher RPM to cool things down. Now, here's the X61 with the stock paste and the stock fans versus the X61 with the MX4 paste and the NFA14 fans, and as you can see, there is no difference. None whatsoever. I mean, everything's within a margin of error. As a matter of fact, the idle and valley are exactly the same, and Prime 95 is 1 degree different. So the lesson there, don't waste your money on buying new fans for this unless you're really particular about noise. The Noctua fans were slightly quieter, but not by a lot. And really, when I was only under heavy load, did you notice the difference in sound given the ambient noises I have in this room? So really, everything that comes in this box is what you're going to need, and save yourself some money on fans, because thankfully the ones that come with this are fairly good. You know, so in conclusion, while it was a rocky road to finally get a 280mm radiator all-in-one from NZXT that worked for me, which does beg the question of a little bit of quality control. It could have just been luck of the draw. I know a lot of people that have these that don't have any issues, so if you get one and you got a pump that's rattling, just go ahead and either return it or contact NZXT. They're more than happy to take care of you. And, you know, they immediately, you know, when I reached out to them, they said, ooh, shouldn't be doing that. So we'll send you another one to check out and make sure everything's working for you. Other than that, very impressed. I can only compare this directly to the Corsair H105, which I was also very happy with, and that was a 240mm radiator, but it was quite a bit thicker. So this one is a little bit quieter because the 140mm fans don't have to run as high of an RPM in order to push the air through the radiator, which is always a good thing. But all in all, if you want to know more about the CAM software, I always get it, you know what confuses me? Because it's Hue Control with the CAM software. But if you want to see more on that, I cover it in the X31, X41 review and kind of walk through the software. But you can use it to monitor temperatures, monitor the pump speed, because it is a variable speed pump, so it will adjust itself. You can also see what the liquid temperature is. You can set notifications, and you really can't see it too well back there, can you? I'm trying to look, yeah. You can adjust what color the light is on an RGB scale, so you can pretty much go into as much detail as you want. If you want to try to match up the color of your water block with maybe something else in your computer, like your LED lights or, you know, your GeForce GTX logo that's lighting up there. So you have a lot of flexibility. But all in all, very pleased with it. A little bit of a bummer that it took so long to get a working unit, you know, between the X60 and the X61 now. But at the end of the day, can't complain. I'm happy with the final product. So if you enjoyed this video, please go ahead and click on that subscribe button. You can also follow me on the Twitters over at Tech Uploaded. And you can hit me up on Facebook, facebook.com/techuploaded. And yep, email at Gmail. Can you guess? It's techuploaded@gmail.com. So hit me up on any of those. I'm more likely to be able to respond because my notification system is just better for those platforms. So as always, don't be a stranger. Check back soon.